There is a moment, one that almost everyone has lived, where something happens that you did not ask for, did not deserve, and did not see coming. Maybe it was a betrayal. Maybe it was a cruel word from someone you trusted. Maybe it was a door that closed in your face, a plan that fell apart, or a silence where there should have been support. And in that moment, the world keeps moving. But you stop. His name was not important. What mattered was who he was, a man who had spent most of his life believing that his feelings were justified because the world had earned them. If someone hurt him, his anger was their fault. If someone disappointed him, his bitterness was their responsibility. He wore his reactions like armor, not realizing they were actually chains. He was 34 years old, hardworking, decent at his core, but carrying something heavy that he could not name. Every morning he woke up, the weight was already there. Before breakfast. Before the news. Before anyone had done anything at all. He just assumed that was what life felt like. One particular morning, a colleague stole credit for work he had spent weeks building. It was undeniable, documented, and witnessed. And his response was immediate, volcanic, total, consuming. He sent sharp messages. He rehearsed confrontations in his head. He sat in traffic replaying the moment, his knuckles pale against the steering wheel, his chest tight with something that felt like fire. By noon, he had not eaten. By evening, he had not slept. The colleague, somewhere across town, had long since moved on. But he was still in that room. Still in that moment. Still burning alone. That was the first time someone asked him a question that would take months to fully understand. Someone close to him, someone who loved him without trying to fix him, asked quietly and without judgment. Who is actually suffering right now? Not as an accusation. Not as a dismissal. But as a mirror. And when he looked into it, really looked, he did not see his colleague. He did not see the injustice. He saw himself. Exhausted. Tense. Spending energy he could not afford on a fire he was feeding himself. This is the truth that no one tells you early enough in life. The event ends. Your reaction does not, unless you choose to end it. Every raised voice that still echoes in your memory, you are the one replaying it. Every wound that reopened at 3 a.m, you are the one holding the thread. Every person who wronged you and has since moved forward, they are not keeping you frozen. You are. This is not blame. This is not a command to be numb or to pretend that pain is not real. Pain is real. Injustice is real. Grief and disappointment and betrayal are real, and they deserve acknowledgement. The point is not to deny any of that. The point is to understand where one thing ends and another begins. What happened to you, that belongs to the past. It is already written. Fixed. Unchangeable. It is history the second it finishes occurring. But your reaction? Your reaction is still being written. With every hour you carry it, you are adding pages to a chapter you did not have to keep going. He did not change overnight. That would make a cleaner story, but it would not be an honest one. What actually happened was slower and quieter and far more difficult than any dramatic turning point. He started noticing the gap, the tiny space between the moment something happened and the moment he chose how to respond. At first, that gap was invisible. His reactions were instant, automatic, almost reflexive. But the more he paid attention, the wider that gap became. He learned to sit inside it. Not to suppress what he felt. Not to perform calm while chaos raged beneath the surface. But to genuinely ask, before reacting, what this response would cost him. Whether the energy he was about to spend would return anything worth having. Whether the person or circumstance he was about to give his entire piece to had actually earned that much of him. Most of the time, they had not. What nobody speaks about openly enough is how anxiety feeds on reaction. How depression is, in so many cases, a story we keep telling ourselves on a loop, a narrative about what happened, what it means, what it says about us, what it predicts about our future. The mind in pain is not lying to you. But it is often telling you yesterday's story as if it were today's truth. Every time he reacted from that wounded place, every time he let one moment of betrayal color an entire week, every time he let one harsh word rewrite how he saw himself, he was feeding the very thing that was making him smaller. The anxiety needed chaos to survive. And he had been providing it faithfully, without ever meaning to. Learning to pause was not weakness. It was, perhaps, the bravest thing he ever learned to do. He is still learning. That is important to say. He still has mornings where the weight arrives before he does. Still has moments where someone's carelessness cuts deeper than it should. Still has nights where old wounds quietly announce themselves. He is not finished. He may never be finished. But he is no longer under the illusion that his suffering is entirely someone else's doing. He has stopped handing strangers the keys to his inner life. He has stopped letting events that lasted 5 minutes live rent-free inside him for 5 years. He has started asking, before anything else, what this moment actually requires of him. Not what his fear says. Not what his pride demands. But what his truest, clearest self can offer. And most days, that answer is simple. Breathe. Respond. Move forward. Because what happened, happened. But what happens next? That is entirely yours.